I am back on the budget V8 Hotrod build. As much as I love seeing this thing every time I walk into the garage, I need to finish the thing off so I can hopefully drive it maybe next year. I hate to give myself deadlines. At the moment, the priority for money and time is getting the redevelopment thing done outside, but yeah, I can't just leave this thing sitting here forever. I want to just keep chipping away at it, just doing bit by bit. It's kind of what I did with the Hotrod build. Feels like it's going to take forever, but if you keep chipping away at something, eventually, you know, it happens and it gets built. What are we going to do this week? You may think, well, this is not a priority thing to do, but I actually want to change the tyres. I need to know what angle the hot rod's going to sit at, so I can then sit the engine at the right angle. It means I can make the cross member for the gearbox, etc. I want to set the pinion angle, but I can't do that until I know exactly how the hot rod's going to sit. I did watch a YouTuber who's built, like, you know, tens of hot rods, traditional hot rods, and he said the first thing he does with the new project is choose the wheel and tyre combination so he can, you know, he'll know how it's going to sit on the ground. And what I'd really like to do is go for smaller ones on the front, obviously, to gain a bit of drop. And the existing tyres here are 6.7 16s, or 6.5 by 16, 6.7 by 16, so they're 16-inch wheels. I quite like the look of having slightly smaller tyres on the front and the back. I don't want to make it super exaggerated. It gives it that sort of rake feel. And what I've noticed by looking at all four tyres here is that two of them are pretty good condition and two are pretty bad. So what I can do is pick the best two, put those on the rear of the car, and then I brought two new ones to go on the front, which are slightly smaller. The other thing is, I really want to see the car back on the ground. It's been on these skates for so long now, and it just always looks really high up in the air, so I'm really keen to get it off the skates, get it on the ground, fit the new tyres, which I'm going to show you in a minute. And if it's still not low enough, I think we can probably take a leaf or two out of the front spring there. There seems to be quite a lot of travel before the spring's going to hit the frame. So I brought a couple of these TT Classic tyres, which are 16-inch of course, but these are 500 or stroke 525. So they should be quite a bit smaller than those. Yeah, so if I just stick this tyre up against the old one, I reckon we've got at least 50 or 60 mil, a couple of inches. So that will give us a nice 1-inch drop on the front by just changing the tyres. So really pleased with that. So the next job is, I've got to get these things off. I mean, I've got no tyre machine or anything here. I'm going to take the car off these trolleys, put it on jack stand, and take all the wheels off. And then I'll have to run them up to a tyre shop, get them to remove them. I'll probably give the wheels some paint before fitting these new tyres. Super excited to see how it looks. Kind of looks really weird to see this thing without the wheels on jack stands. If you haven't seen the first episode of the Hotrod build, the whole front end, including the wheels, are off a Ford Pilot V8, and they're the wide 5 wheels, which are kind of, you know, used quite a lot on traditional hot rods. And the good news is the two best tyres, which were on the front there, they're matching. So I think these two are kind of a bit rough and a bit dry rotted, if you like, a bit cracked there. I mean, these aren't perfect, but they look pretty good. I'm going to run them anyway for a while. And these two are matching, so they're India Super. I'm going to run them up to the tyre shop in the morning. I'm going to ask them to take the tyres off, then I'm going to paint the wheels hopefully before fitting the new tyres. Hopefully at least a couple of the inner tubes are okay. Obviously these are all inner tube tyres, and I've got a couple of new inner tubes to go on the front wheels to match those new tyres. So yeah, we'll see how we get on in the morning. Just whipped the two tyres off for me. I think I'm going to leave the other two on because the inner tubes just get ruined by pulling them off, and I could see it's going to be quite easy to paint the other two. We're leaving the tyres on, so I'm going to head back now and start getting them prepped for paint. After getting these wheels back to the garage, I'm really impressed. I mean, these are, what, 75 years old or something? And I was expecting them to be really rusty on the inside. Look how good these are. So in fact, I didn't even bother taking these off. If these wheels are so good on the inside, I don't really need to take the tyres off. I'm just going to mask them up, scuff them and paint them. And again with this, I think I'm just going to scuff these up and then shoot them with paint, take them back obviously and get the new tyres fitted. Saw me first hit the wheels with the wire brush on the drill, and then I used like a sanding sponge thing, I'm not sure what you call that, and then these pad things, that's the coarsest one they do. And yeah, I'm pretty pleased that these wheels aren't too rusty. Quite a lot of paint did come off, and yeah, that's in the inside look. So I think what's happened is they've painted these wheels quite crudely. There's obviously a bit of surface rust, so that paint is flaked off in quite a few places. This one's probably the best one, looks pretty good on that side. If I flick it round, yeah, so the inside of that one's pretty darn good. And then, so there was three that were in cream. Move this one out of the way. And this one's pretty good actually. The inside is kind of the same thing as before, so I think they've painted this cream on top of a bit of surface rust. I guess the worst one is the one that's still in black, but even this one's not too bad. That's the inside of it there, and this is the surface rust. So this looks to me what they've probably painted over this kind of thing on the cream, and I think this cream is like an enamel paint, and it's sort of got a bit of cracking. Anyway, I've given these things a good old go over with the degreaser, with sandpaper, etc. I've got some primer which you can paint directly to rust, so that'll be a initial coat of the black primer direct to rust, and then I've got some, well, the final colour primer and top coat. Just chucked a bit of primer on the other side of these two. Just to get things started. You can see where the rust treatment's worked. It looks like it's almost painted, but it's turned all the rust black there. And I'm going to move on to these ones, obviously with the tyres still on. So I've given this all a good sand and degreased it, cleaned it up. Now I'm going to try something I've seen about 3,000 other YouTubers do to mask off the tyre, and that's take a pack of playing cards and you just put the playing cards in between the rim and the tyre there, all the way across. So I'll show you from this side. And it sort of gets trapped in between there, but it just allows you to paint the kind of edge of the wheel as well. I've never done this before, but seems like a good idea. Okay, that has all four wheels done in primer now, and it's time for the top coat. Now, this being a traditional hot rod, I have brought some period correct paint for the wheels. No, not really. I just got this stuff from Toolstation. So yeah, I've no idea, never used it before. I think I used a screw fixed one on the Oddbob build on the wheels, which was quite bright. It was a bit too red, if you know what I mean, orangey red. Didn't look that sort of traditional hot roddy, but this one, it's RAL 3000. They call it Safe Red in Toolstation. So we're going to give this a go. I've only got one can of it because I wasn't sure it's going to look right. So we're going to start putting it on. If it's okay, then I'll nip out and grab some more. But it's not the cheapest, but I learned from my mistakes with that black paint I brought with the Chow build, if you remember. I bought the cheapest black paint available and it was terrible. It was spitting out everywhere. I have used Toolstation's paint before, maybe not the red one, but it's definitely pretty good quality. So yeah, we'll give it a go and see how it looks. Before we have a look at the painted wheels, I just want to show you the state of the floor, basically the overspray. Now I've actually swept this, but hopefully that's picking that up on camera. And it's spread like all the way to the back of the garage. Just a crazy amount of overspray. The whole of the garage floor is a tinge of red right now. So I think first thing is I'm going to give this floor a mop, because the dust is just, I can't handle it. Well, I am super pleased with how these turned out. This is the wheel with the new tyre, and this paint, it's almost like a satin finish, but it's pretty heavy duty. They used the machine to fit the tyres and all the paint stayed on there. I mean, it's only, what, a day old, this paint. Bearing in mind, this rattle can spray job, it's cost me 4 tins of paint, so what's that, £25, a bit of sandpaper and a bit of elbow grease. And these tyres were about, I think, £90 each. You obviously need the inner tube to go with them. Time will tell on that sort of period looking thing. Eventually I would like to have white walls on the hot rod, but the price of the white wall tyres new was just ridiculous. So as I said, these tyres were about £90, and I think the cheapest white wall tyre in a similar sort of style was up to about £300 a tyre. So yeah, that's a lot of money. Anyway, let's get these fitted and see how it looks on the car. We'll take it off the jack stands and sit it down for a first time in a long while. This thing looks so cool, sat on the ground. It's literally been on those skate things for so long. And I was starting to doubt how high up in the air it was, you know. It just looked so high all the time, but just putting it down on the ground there, that looks so cool. Now these wheel sizes are kind of subtle, but that's kind of how I like it. I might end up putting bigger tyres on the back at some point. So just putting this pitch finder on the frame there, we got about 1.3 degree rake. So I think we can go a little bit more, and like I said at the start of the video, I think what I'm going to do is take out a leaf from the spring there, because I've got so much travel there. I reckon we can afford to go one spring, just see if we can get it down a little bit further. So I just want to take a little measurement to the front here. I'll go to the cross member. We've got about 42.5 to the bottom of the cross member, 42.5 there, 425mm, and we'll pull a spring out and we'll just see how much that's dropped. If we can get 1/2 inch, that'd be quite cool. I thought this was going to be a quick job, but it took me quite a while just to jack this up high enough to get access to the spring. Obviously there's a lot of weight with that big old flathead engine. So what I'm going to do, I think, is put a couple of clamps to keep these springs together, and then I can remove that bolt to take just that top spring off. Right, we're back on the ground. Difficult to tell just from looking here, but the measurement before was 425 and it's at 410 now. So that's dropped it 15mm at the front. And what have we got? Oh, what was it, about 1.3 degrees? Now it's 1.7. There's not much more of a degree rake, but has dropped another 15mm. just going to chuck these back on loosely for now. What I think I'll need to do is make like a spacer block underneath, because this bit isn't actually going to touch the springs anymore. The kit does come with this, which fits up underneath, but basically that's gone right up under there now, so I need to make one of those, but quite a bit thicker to take up for the spring I've taken out. Doesn't matter too much for now. I'll put that bracket back on those U-bolts, throw the grill back on, and yeah, we'll step back and have a look. Oh my word, look at it. I am so pleased with how that stance is. It looks so good. Those wheels have turned out just amazing for the pretty much zero budget I had. That just sits so well on the ground now. All those doubts I had about it being too high. I love it, the high boy look. It looks amazing. The wheels have come out great. They are like a satin kind of finish, but for me that looks really vintage. Okay, that's it for this episode of Cobweb Garage. A bit of a short episode, but I've been super busy on the workshop redevelopment outside and the Lambretta build. There's some exciting news on the CAD design of those front links. Can't wait to let you all know about that. And it's been really important to get this wheel and tyre combination done on the hot rod. It set the stance of the vehicle, which will allow me to get the transmission cross member made, the pinion angle set, the rear axle set in the right position. I can weld up all the brackets for the wishbones to the rear axle. So yeah, it's actually been a really important thing to do. And come on, they look absolutely amazing. So really pleased with that. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you haven't done already. You can find us on Facebook and Instagram. We have merchandise for sale. I'll put the link below, and we'll see you on the next one. Okay, cheers.